John Fredericks, America's Godzilla of Truth. He's popular and proficient in picking politics with prophetic precision. And now J. Fred's picking sports. Are y'all ready for this? All across the airwaves and streams of the John Fredericks Media Network, John, Jack, and Nate, three guys that are pretty wise when it comes to picking winners. Football, basketball, baseball, soccer, golf, UFC battles, you name it. When the game is on your mind and money's on the line, Godzilla Wins is your guide to picking winners. Before you make that play, hear what J. Fred has to say. Godzilla Wins on the John Fredericks Media Network.
Oh yeah, for entertainment purposes only.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Godzilla Wins Saturday Picks Show. I'm joined by Editor-in-Chief Extraordinaire of GodzillaWins.com, Jack Fredericks. Thank you for being able to join us. I know you're on vacation and had to come in at late notice, but we do appreciate it.
Yeah, that's what I'm here for. Ultimate radio utility guy.
The team guy, the team player. I have two of them on vacation. So vacation episode. Hopefully John's going to be here at some point to help round out the crew. But it's a big weekend of sports. I mean, we've had sort of like, I don't know, I guess NFL seemingly every day since Christmas is what it's felt like. A lot of college bowl games. It's been a busy football season. It's about to get a whole lot busier. We got a preview. First we got to talk about what happened in the first round of the college playoffs. We got to preview the next round. We got NFL games galore, reactions, bets for the weekend, bets for tomorrow, bets for today. It's going to be a big show. We're going to be giving out a lot of picks, as you can probably tell, but it's for entertainment purposes only, this show. So if you have a gambling problem, I want you to call 1-800-GAMBLER. If you live in Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Louisiana, Maryland, Michigan, Nebraska, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, or Wyoming, call 1-800-327-5050 or visit gamblinghelpline-ma.org. If you're in Massachusetts, 877-GHOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY if you're in New York. 1-800-NEXT-STEP in Arizona. 1-800-522-4700 in Kansas or New Hampshire. 888-79-7777 or visit ccpg.org if you're in Connecticut. 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa or visit opgr.org if you live in Oregon. John, welcome to the show.
All right. John's audio working great so far.
Starting off strong on the mute.
Yeah, make sure you can figure out your audio, John. That's why we come into the show a couple minutes early so we can do a sound check. Nope, can't hear you. Nate, go ahead. Let's move on to
Cannot hear a thing. Okay. Well, in the meantime, I'm sure John will just keep talking until his mic turns on, and then we'll know that he's here.
Right.
Well, let's talk about, I guess, like the first round of the college football playoff, because that was sort of the big thing that we were focused on last week. I mean, in a lot of ways, I felt like for myself watching the games, we've sort of learned some things about college football, even with the expanded sort of 14 playoff. That, you know, yeah, we can hear John now because he's just.
Yeah, I'm good. I went to my external mic that I
that's fine.
Let's
all
go ahead. We're good.
Right, let's all reset here. Number one, and this we'll just have a little company meeting real quick, just on the air live.
Right.
Dad, when you do not have a microphone hooked up to your computer, the entire country can hear you typing. Nobody can hear anything else but you pounding on the keyboard. So do not type unless you hit mute. Like just company-wide memo here live at 7 a.m. because we can't hear anything else.
Where's the mute button?
Well, that you'll have to figure out. But for now, you cannot type anything else until you figure out how to mute because the whole country just hears you typing away. We don't hear anything else.
It's just like a 1940s, like when you see, like when you like watch like an old movie and you go into an office and all you hear is just clacking of keys. That's what it sounds like. Yeah.
I'm gonna find that mute button.
All right, great.
All right. So like what I was saying, like, so for the college football, even with like the sort of 4-team expansion, I've been thinking about this. And even sometimes when BCS games, we would get this where it was like, you could kind of tell who the really elite teams were. Maybe they didn't win their conference. Maybe they didn't win the SEC, but you could tell they were probably maybe the second best team in the country. You know, maybe they didn't win the Big Ten, but you could tell they were probably a lot better than other teams. And then this, you know, we get the first round and it's like, okay, Penn State's like a real legit Big Ten team. They demolish SMU, right? Texas is a real good SEC team and they beat Clemson pretty easily. Ohio State, you know, obviously just dismantled Tennessee. So it seemed like just the teams that we could tell had like a lot more talent and it had basically better seasons, really sort of rose to the top in the first round. What were your guys' sort of initial reactions?
I don't have a problem. I want them to expand the games. I thought the games were fun. I loved Indiana being in there. I loved SMU being in there. Yeah, they got smoked, and this is going to happen. You know, you have a 64 field and a play-in. What is it now in the basketball? Right? There's there's eight other teams in a play-in game. So you got like a 70-something field in the NCAA, and when your team makes it, it's like a big deal. And yeah, the 16th round gets blown out. Once in a while, they pull an upset. But that is the beauty of March Madness is everybody's got a shot to get in the dance. And I love these games. Now, you know, I bet some of the underdogs and, you know, took it in the shorts, as they say. But it was fun. It was fun watching them. And it was fun as a fan knowing that you had a shot to get in, even though, look, it was a difficult situation for a lot of these teams that, you know, didn't belong on the field. But I'm for expanding it. I thought it was so much fun as you went up to who was going to get in. It gave everybody an opportunity. It motivated the fan base. I mean, you know, when as an SMU Mustang fan, I mean, when was the last time you guys played a meaningful football game? Right? You got to go back to the 70s or 80s prior to the ban they got back when they didn't do bans. So there's just Indiana is another example. Just a lot of fun games. I mean, Arizona State today is a 13.5 underdog. I'm betting them. I don't care what. I'm betting them. I think they're good. This is fun. That's why I got my Arizona State hat on, by the way, given to me for Christmas by my son, Jack, who's studying there for his doctorate. So I got all my gear ready to go. But I think it's fun, and I think that would be hard for any fit. And some of the naysayers in the sports writing world saying, oh, you know, it should be cut down to 8 and there's too many games that don't matter and they get blown out. You know, screw you. Okay. You think you're elite and mighty. We had fun watching these games. The fan base had fun. I'm for expanding it.
Yeah. My takeaways are pretty similar. I mean, my first takeaway is that they bet the home teams, I think, in that first round seems to be my biggest takeaway. I got absolutely smoked in all these pools I was in on the show. You know, that happens. Like, you get excited about the underdogs. You want to see these teams that you that you want to believe can like make a run. Basketball is a different sport than football. It's very hard to upset a really good football team. In basketball, you just get a couple hot hands, a team like Fairleigh Dickinson a couple years ago that couldn't miss from the 3 and sort of stuns a really good basketball team. This doesn't happen very often in football. It's why we all kind of love football, because the games get exciting, but ultimately, you know, one of the best teams ends up winning in either college or the NFL. So that's kind of my first takeaway. I think next year I'm just going to be hammering the home teams here at the beginning. And that's a huge advantage too, that I don't think we talked about on the show last week. The fact that Ohio State, Notre Dame, Texas, and I'm blanking on the fourth one, were able to score a home field game. I also think that should be the case. Like that's an electric sort of atmosphere for college campus to have this college football playoff, because now we're going to go to these bowl games, neutral sites, and it gets a little bit trickier. So that's kind of my first takeaway. I say, hey, if you want to expand it, go for it. I think a couple years ago I might have been like, you know what, these are college kids. Like they don't need to be playing 16 games a year. There's no real way in the schedule to expand past this, because you've got the championship, and then basically the next week is this 12 game or the first round of the playoffs. So you're kind of just extending everything a week, and you're making a lot of these college athletes play, I don't know, 15, 16 games if they run through the and win the championship. They run through the tournament. But at this point, these guys are like semi-pros. I mean, they're paid a lot of money to play this sport, and they are pretty much can be treated in some way as professionals. So if we wanted to expand it to 16, I think that would be cool too. But I think we're still going to see the same issue where we're going to get a lot of blowouts until we get to like the semifinals or the quarterfinals, where some of the games might be a little bit closer. But that's just kind of the case. You've got maybe 6 teams that are absolutely elite, and then you've got everybody else. And those 6 teams are probably going to blow out most of the other teams. And, other than maybe Arizona State, which I think is probably the biggest underdog now still in the college football playoff, I think everybody else is going to be pretty evenly matched, and we'll talk about that a little bit later as we get into some of these games.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I had kind of 2 things. I was thinking a lot when we interviewed Gentry last week, and we were talking about the college football playoff, and we were talking like, does this structure work? And he said, yeah, I think it does. He says, I think that the only thing that maybe now that we've done it one time, or at least seeded it one time, maybe they would think about changing it, is probably how they seed it and who gets the bye, and really do that sort of on a strength of like team. Because I think that looking at the first round, it's pretty clear that like Ohio State maybe deserved a bye. They just absolutely just thrashed Tennessee. Maybe ASU doesn't deserve a bye. We'll see how they look, on New Year's Day when they play their first game. So I think that there were some structural issues like that. I also don't hate the idea of expanding it out on sort of the bottom end, and giving maybe 4 to 6 teams about, like, however you want to do it, and expanding it out, because I think that we get some really good games sort of at the bottom of the thing. Like it would have been fun to see SMU play Clemson, or Tennessee play Indiana, or something like that wasn't quite as lopsided. I think we could have, if you expand it, you might be able to squeeze in and be able to get like some better games.
Well,
structure the bracket.
Even just restructuring it, I think, gives you better games. Like Boise State, SMU, or Indiana ASU. Like those are probably better games than some of the ones we got. So just kind of making it a strength of schedule, or just the top 4 teams. I don't think anyone really is going to have an issue with that. I think people actually think the conference championship thing is weird, but the problem you get into there is you're now disincentivized to like really fight for a conference championship, because what are you looking for? Like what's the point if you're like the number 2 seed or the number 1 seed, you're Oregon, and even if you lose to Ohio State, you're going to be like the 2nd or 3rd seed still. What's the point in even playing that game other than for pride? So it's kind of interesting, like on the flip side, to think about what it might look like without the conference championship sort of qualifier. And it did give us this like really weird sort of ASU Boise State seeding, and that is kind of interesting, because like if Arizona State and Boise State were both to win, then they are like really close to a national championship game, which is kind of hilarious. And they got this bye that maybe some people think they didn't deserve, but hey, I mean, they won their conference. Like these are 2 teams that we didn't even know if they'd be. I mean, definitely Arizona State, we didn't expect to be talking about them this year, and probably Boise State as well. So there's I think, an argument that the conference championship could be useful, but I understand what people are saying, where maybe you don't get the best.
Yeah, but the other thing. Don't you guys agree? I mean,
I want to bring up one more thing, then you can go.
Sure.
And Nate brought this up while we were talking last week about these games. When we had the what was it, 14 playoff?
Right.
We got blowouts then too.
That's right.
Right. Yeah, that's the whole thing. Yeah. We've always known that there's this big talent gap between the truly
right.
elite and everyone else.
Yeah, we like these are just we just get blowouts. It's just different than basketball.
I think the point that Jack, I'm sorry, that Jack just made. Sorry, Jack. I called Joe Jack Joe. I do it.
Look, for our listeners, this is like a whole thing that he gets upset about, where he calls me Joe is his other son, so my brother, and he confuses the names, but nobody cares but him. So don't worry about it.
Okay. So Jack, I just talked to Joe. So where were we here? Okay. So I agree with you. People forget these teams got blown out anyway. And so I did, but you were talking about conference championships. I mean, the conference championship's a big deal. I mean, if you start taking away that is mattering, then the conference championship game, which is really, really neat, then you take that away. I mean, right now, the one thing that doesn't matter is the bowl games, right? Like, I think I was flipping the channels. I saw a bowl game was on. I'm like, do we still have those? Like, Navy was playing somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I think that deserves conversation. I mean, what do we? But I guess you still have them because teams that didn't make the 12 or 16 or whatever they expanded to, still have an opportunity to play in a bowl game. But then with all the kids leaving from the portal, those are becoming more and more ridiculous. I don't know what we're going to do about that, Nate.
I mean,
no, sorry, Nate. Then you can jump in. I think the bowl games are actually fun. Like, I don't care. Like, I was watching the Navy game is a good example. I don't care how many players from Navy are entering the transfer portal. Like, I wouldn't even know. I don't. But the game was still fun to watch. It's still a bowl game. A lot of these bowl games are recognizable. We got the Pop-Tarts Bowl coming up. Everybody loves that. We got the Duke's Mayo Bowl. The Liberty Bowl was last night. Like, the Las Vegas Bowl was last night. That's a good one. Like, these are we still like these bowl games. I think just because the Peach Bowl now has a lot more significance doesn't mean that I'm not going to watch the Liberty Bowl, which I did yesterday. So, I mean, I think those games still have significance, and I'm not that worried about the transfer portal. I think that kind of constant complaining about the transfer portal to me is it's getting really old. You saw it with Jim Laren. I always forget how to say his last name. Larinaga, the coach of
Miami.
Yeah, the head coach of Miami for the basketball team.
For basketball.
Yeah, they're 4-8. They're 4-8. He stepped down. He just resigned. And in his comments, do now when they resign, especially these old guys, he said 2 years ago in 2019 or whatever it was, a couple years ago when they went to the Final Four, if you guys remember, that they lost in the Final Four, and he had 8 players transfer into the portal. 8 of his players. He went to them and he was like, "What can I do? Like, how can I make this any better? We just got to the Final Four. Like, how can you find a better spot?" And they were like, "That's money, sorry, it's no hard feelings, it's just money." He's like, "Oh, it's a professional sport now. I can't sports." That argument is so tired. I'm tired of it. These old guys, like, they need to retire. I'm tired of the transfer portal stuff. Like, stop complaining. This is the way it is. Start learning how to win with the portal and with the money. Arizona State's head coach, Kenny Dillingham.
Look, I agree with Jack here 100%. I mean, I saw that and I saw him whining again. I mean, it was okay with the Sabans and it was okay with this one and that one. And then I get, I love the Ole Miss coach. I love the fact he speaks his mind. I love that press conference where he blasted the whole thing and said it was destroying the game. Okay. And we all bought into that, but it is what it is. I mean, that's one of my favorite sayings in the company and life. And Jack knows this, and so does Nate. It is what it is. And so you're not going to change this. You're never going to go back to the old way where the coach basically was, the king, and they made all the decisions and you couldn't transfer and you lost a year of eligibility and there was no money involved. And, you had the blue chips that would give kids money under the table. All that's gone. This is now a business. What I try to tell your younger brother, Joe, I mean, it's like Joe Fredericks Inc. I mean, you now have a business. And the business is you're a college ball player And that's what it is. And, kids are going to do the best thing that is in their best interest moving forward in their future. And as a coach, you got to be able to navigate your way through that. And if you can't do it, like the Miami coach, the old guy, he doesn't want to deal with it. I agree with him. It's time to get out, but stop whining. Just say, hey, the game has passed me by. I can't navigate my way through the new rules. I don't want to deal with it. I'm out. So fine, but don't be whining about the rules.
Yeah.
Because he was 4-8. Like, that's why he quit.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point.
He wasn't a young man when he took the job at Miami. He was probably in his late 60s. I think now at this point, Jim Larrañaga is in his mid to late 70s.
I think he's 75.
Also just recognize, like, I'm 75 years old. I probably, like, I don't need to be on a college sideline at this point, probably. Like, there are better ways to make this work. But I mean, just to speak to just sort of like, the way that things are shaping out just broadly, especially with the bowl games. Like, I've thought that the bowl games yesterday, especially, like, was probably the first day where I've just sat down and just grinded bowl games. I thought they were excellent. I mean, the Navy Oklahoma game was incredible. Oklahoma came out with basically like a high school offense. They were running like wing T because they had a whole bunch of transfers and they didn't really have like enough time to practice like their regular offense. It was too complicated. So they just rolled out a weird offense and kind of, hung with a pretty good Navy team. And really were in it towards the end of the game. The USC game was nuts, against A&M last night. I mean, they scored like 1 billion points in the second half. USC scores a touchdown in 9 seconds to win. That's huge. So, I mean, there were good games. But
the Toledo game the Toledo game went into 6 OTs.
Yeah, like that stuff is crazy. I mean, and credit to Oklahoma Navy for like not going into 6 OTs. They very easily could have, and they just decided to just try and end it there, which I think is usually the right call. Unless you're playing in the playoff and you got a chance to go for 2 at the end of the, just go for 2 and end it. Like, we don't need to grind it out this hard. So I like that call from Oklahoma. But even Arkansas had a zillion transfers, and a guy catches his first pass. It goes 94 yards for a touchdown. It's the longest passing play in Arkansas history from a player that had 0 receptions this season. 0 up until that one. And that stuff is fun.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like let's just change the narrative and lean into the fact that the bowl games are going to be super weird.
Yeah.
That they don't, the college football playoff don't mean a lot. These kids transfer, they enter the draft, they opt out of playing these bowl games that they don't want to risk an injury. And so we get guys who didn't play all season long on a 6-6 team. We got the Georgia Tech game was great. Haynes King just running through people. I mean,
Diego played great.
Yeah, you just we just need to lean into that and just understand that the game is completely different than it was even 5 years ago. College football changes quicker than any other college sport, definitely, maybe NFL, because other than the NFL, it is such a moneymaker. So they're always trying to make the product better by retooling it. They don't do that in the NBA or the MLB as much because there's not as much money at stake on some level, and they have a sort of a ceiling for their ratings. College football has no ceiling. People love college football. People love the NFL. It's the best product on in America. And so, college football changes fast. Everybody needs to get on board and we're all on holiday break, or we're all hanging out during the holidays, games, and stop complaining.
Right. Like what am I supposed to feel sorry that Oklahoma went 6-6 during the season and they sucked and all their players transferred, and I'm supposed to feel sorry for them when they lose to Navy? Nah, it's just weird, And in some ways, I was thinking about this. It almost feels like a early spring game, you're starting to kind of see what the team might look like, before they even play the spring game, and then obviously in the season. So it's just, I don't know, it's kind of fun. I think it puts a lot of work on the coaches. They have to do a lot to prepare and sort of manage their roster, which I think creates a lot of interesting problems. And the quality of football is still pretty decent. I mean, it's just gone are the days of us having, I think that the biggest thing that Jack sort of is speaking to that I want to reiterate as well is like gone are the days of us thinking that these kids are just going out and like playing for pride. But that was always just something that we assigned to them that wasn't even maybe necessarily true. Like there's a zillion guys that play for Oklahoma. They're not all diehard Sooners. Like some of them are just there because it's the best place they could play to football at, and they don't really like it that much, and that's okay. Like they don't all have to love it.
That's
I mean, you have to ask yourself just a simple question: did you watch these games? Did you bet on these games?
No.
Did you find these games entertaining? The answer to all the above is yes. So, I mean, because look, it's still consumerism, right? If we're not watching games, if we're not tuning in, if they're not getting ratings, if they can't sell ads, they're going to have to change it. And all of that was there. I mean, you look at the money involved here. What was it on Christmas Day? What was it on Netflix, right? Nate and Jack. Nate.
Oh, the NFL.
Netflix.
5 million viewers.
I mean, think about this, right? Netflix paid the NFL $75 million a game. They broadcast 2 games, 75 mil. That's $150 million. Then they outsourced everything, which was, I don't know, another pick a number, 20 million. So it's $160, $170 million. But here's the thing. They sold out their advertising was sold out. They raised prices in the second tier of the advertising. They made money on it, and they sold out. Every ad was sold out, and the second tier ads, the price went up because obviously the inventory goes down to supply and demand. So Netflix pulled it off. Games were fine. I happen to be a Netflix subscriber, so I didn't complain about it the way I did 12 months ago when it was on something I didn't have and it pissed me off, Peacock or something. So I had Netflix, so I turned the game on. There it is. Hit the button, comes up. They spend 160, 170 million and make money, and they have these off the chart ratings. And then for Netflix, the people that were not subscribers now have to subscribe, even if it's short term, to get the game, which I subscribed to Peacock last year or 2 years ago to get that game. You think I deleted it? I'm still getting charged, $6.99 a month or whatever it is for like in perpetuity because it's there. And that's what they bank on is, people like me that don't bother to go in their phone or TV and just cancel the thing because they subscribe for that 1 or 2 games. And so this streaming, I mean, it's when you look at how successful that was, I mean, the executives at Netflix, man, you got to hand to them.
Yeah, I mean, in Netflix powerhouse, and I think them getting to the NFL is crazy. I might be misquoting here, but it was something like 25 million viewers for those 2 NFL games.
It's a lot.
And the NBA, and this is just a testament to the football, the product of NFL and football. The NBA on Christmas Day, which is like a huge thing, right?
That's always been.
We've been. Everybody knows the NBA dominates Christmas Day, 5 million viewers, something like that, for the NBA. So you can just see how much if that number is right, 25 million. If nobody had subscribed, if it's just 20 million who pick up a subscription, it's like $300 million, like just in those games, right? So, I mean, obviously, many people have Netflix already, but 10 million people are subscribing, or 1 million. It's a ton of revenue, and people don't cancel those subscriptions. Everybody has Netflix. I think Netflix getting into the football game is a really, really good for viewers. I mean, the stream was but I think it's pretty good. The other thing I'll shout out, and Dad, you got to do some healthy sellouts here in a minute because we're almost at 7:30. But the other thing I'll shout out, because I know you guys don't watch this, and I just watched it for the first time. The Amazon Thursday Night Football game show is completely unhinged. If not watching the post game, the Amazon Prime, it is nuts because I guess they don't have as much FAA regulations because they're streaming. They're like throwing up the bird. They're dropping, like they're jumping in ice baths. It makes no totally crazy. So shout out to Amazon, like that Thursday Night Football Amazon post game.
Well, it's the streaming environment, and you mentioned the FCC. The streaming environment is the Wild West. I mean, it is not regulated by anything. It's a very gray area. Like right now on our show, we're running under FCC rules because this is on 27 radio stations, and also our stream that comes from the radio stations is part of that network that comes under their control. But if we were to scrap the radio stations right here, say no radio, we're not on any of the radio stations, we're not on any TV network, which I think there's somebody trying to pick us up in Virginia. I'll get to that later. But we're on no TV, and all we're doing is streaming. And it's just a stream on, I don't know, pick something, Get Live, Twitter Live, or whatever, YouTube Live. There's no FCC regulations. They're trying to get there, but right now it's the Wild West. You basically say and do what you want. That's why the Joe Rogans of the world can get there on his 4-hour podcast and drop 150 F-bombs because it's not regulated, right? He's not running on a radio show. And that's why on my TV show or radio show, I don't play his clips because I don't have time to sit there and me and Tyler, 5 a.m. editing out his stuff. So we see his name come up. We don't play it, but it's the Wild West. Now I didn't see the Amazon post-game show, but the post-game, the pre and post-game shows are really tiring, guys. I mean, whatever is the one with Jimmy Johnson and Bradshaw. I mean, that's what I'm saying, car.
That's what I'm saying,
I mean,
though.
that's
the news stuff is nonsense. These streaming shows are good.
But that's my point.
Yeah, Netflix was but I'm telling you, watch the Amazon post show. Dad, one of the things that I know you have to do, regardless, you can't really watch these post game shows because you have to be up so early. But one of the ways you get so much sleep is Healthy Cell. Tell us a little bit about Healthy Cell.
It's unbelievable, folks. You're going into a new year. I'm not one to give advice. I give advice to the family, and they take about half of it, which is fine. But I'm not one to give advice. But I gotta tell you, I am 66. I feel better than I have when I was in my 50s. I mean, I jump up out of bed every day at 3:45. I'm getting good sleep. I take my REM sleep. I take my Healthy Cell Gen vitamins every day when I get up. I take the Focus, and I just feel better because I know that my body is getting nutrients. And with the schedule that I keep, and now we're going to Washington, D.C. in January, where the second Ann and I ship out of here for a while. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff going on. And Healthy Cell has been one of the most important things that I've had in my life. And I want to encourage everybody, for the money you pay, you are simply going to feel better. And it's not going to take years. It's going to take weeks. Just go to healthycell.com, healthycell.com, and promo code Godzilla. You're going to get 20% the first order. If nothing else, if you can only afford one, get the REM sleep. I mean, I take that 15 minutes before I go to bed. Now I have a CPAP, so I pop that mask on. 7 minutes, I am out, and you're good to go. So you're going to sleep better. I dream all night, and you're just going to get up feeling better. You will feel better, and it's all about right now your health. And I know we have a lot of listeners that might be a little younger than me, but this is really going to make a difference. Go to healthycell.com, and I'm just giving you a heartfelt message. It's going to impact your life. Healthycell.com, promo code Godzilla, 20% off. Get your REM sleep now. Do it before January. Do it now, and thank me later, because it's really going to change your life.
All right. Let's talk about some games. We need to do some picks for the college football playoff on New Year's Eve. We have one game, and then we have 3 on New Year's Day on Wednesday. But first off, we have Penn State. Obviously, won their first round game in pretty convincing fashion. Boise State had a bye, so they're coming into this off a little rest. Penn State's a big favorite still. They're an 11-point favorite. Glendale, Arizona, pretty neutral site for both teams, maybe slight benefit for Boise. I mean, so we've seen this go around now a lot, right? Where it's okay, this is a really good team that I know is a really good team. They played a really strong schedule, and they're a giant favorite over a team that I think is probably pretty good playing not very good teams. Does Penn State just roll here again? I mean,
yes. Look.
They have to, right?
I think, look, I don't like Coach Franklin. I get it, right? That's just internal bias. But and they say he doesn't win big games. This is a big game he's going to win. I mean, do you really think that Boise State is going to beat Penn State right now? Penn State, I think, has a legitimate shot to win this thing. They got a complete team. They play defense, right? They score now where they didn't in the past. They're making big plays. This is a very tough team. They're very big up front, much bigger than Boise State. I mean, we kind of saw this when you guys talked about the early rounds and why it's so difficult in college football because of the weight difference. I mean, just a size difference and it's a speed difference. And you looked at some of these games and, you know, some of these teams just didn't have the meat on the OL or DL to keep up. They didn't have the speed. I mean, if you go back to the West Virginia Penn State game way at the beginning of the season, if Penn State played West Virginia 25 times, they would have beat them 25 times. Bigger, stronger, faster. We couldn't cover their receivers. Didn't have the speed. Couldn't match up. You're going to get the same thing here today. And look, a lot of us took these underdogs, right? And because it was fun. They all got blown out. Every single one of them. I mean, I wasn't in a game.
Yeah.
What the only game I was in was Clemson plus 13.5. And, you know, maybe if they had gotten that touchdown at the end where they got stopped, maybe they cover. But Clemson was never going to win that game. We both know that. So all of these favorites covered. I don't see a change in here.
Well, Clemson almost covered, though. They lost by the hook.
Yes, they did. They did almost cover.
So, you know, they were right there.
We lost by a half.
Yeah, they lost by the hook. Right. So I'm gonna go with Boise here. And here's the reason why. One, because it's a boring radio show when everybody picks the same person. And we just it's just boring to go through a whole hour and be like, you know, everybody picks
absolutely agree for all the same reasons.
Like, what is that? Like, I mean, let's get some difference here. Here's the thing about these games. So first of all, they're not in Happy Valley anymore. Okay, that's one. Two, Penn State is coming off a game, an emotional game, maybe 10 days ago. Boise hasn't played in a while. I don't really like in college football. I don't really think that matters. I actually think the rest is pretty good. I don't think you need to be like somehow in some sort of groove. Like sometimes you need to be in baseball to keep winning. And it's out west. So Pennsylvania, I mean, you got to travel pretty far to get to Arizona. Different climate, hot. You know, Boise doesn't have to go that far. Obviously, it's cold in Boise right now too, though. The other, my big thing here is like Boise has like a tradition of winning these types of games. Like regardless of who their coach is, regardless of where the program is at the time, they pride themselves on surprising people on these big moments. These guys who play at Boise, they love the moment. They understand the history of that program, and James Franklin often lays an egg. So I don't think it's unreasonable to take like 10 or 11 points here and think that maybe James Franklin, even though maybe Penn State wins, maybe they don't just blow everyone out all the time. I mean, otherwise, then you're starting to make an argument that Penn State, you know, can make a run to the national championship if you think they just blow everybody out. I understand Boise is not Georgia, but I like the 10 here just because I think these games are going to be a little bit closer because of the bye, because of the winning tradition. You know, Penn State, who'd they play? SMU. SMU probably should have not been in the conversation. The ACC is not a great conference. We saw that play out in 2 games of the first round. I think Boise has enough here to hang with them. And that is a program that does pride itself on winning games like this. We talk about, everything's, pay for play these days or whatever. I'm not totally sure that's true in Idaho. Like, I think there probably is still a little bit of pride if you're like playing in Boise, Idaho. So I'm expecting a pretty good game here, just based on the tradition that Boise has of really surprising people.
Well, it just went up. Actually, it opened at 9.5, and now it went to 10, like you said, and now it's just
I'm probably close.
It just went up to 11. So there's no money on Boise State. It's all going to the Nittany Lions. But if you want to take a shot, you just got an extra 11.
I mean, I think that, and this is something that we kind of talked about a little bit on the show. last week when there were some voices in defense of taking Clemson. Clemson could win this game outright against Texas. Sark hasn't really won a big game in Texas. This is finally a big game. Blah blah blah. And the thing that I couldn't get out of the back of my head was like, is playing Clemson really that big of a game? Like, sure, like the stage is big because it's the college football playoff, but like Clemson's not a team that Texas would look at their schedule if it was just a regular game, like a non-conference game, and think like monster game. It would be good. It would be competitive, but nobody was making the argument that Clemson was like big game status in the same way that like Penn State, Ohio State, Oregon, Georgia are. I think that there's probably like 4 teams you look at and you're like, those are legitimately scary teams if you're someone like Texas, and those are big games. But I'm not really sure Clemson's a big game. Last week I wasn't sure. Just like Penn State, Franklin comes a little bit short here, but it's like, did they look at SMU and were they really that scared of them? Are they really that scared of Boise? I mean, this team that's playing Oregon, that's playing Ohio State, like those are their big games.
I mean, you get back.
It's not a big game.
Well, you get back
they just have to lose by 9. You know what I mean?
Right, but you get back to the quality of athlete. I mean, Penn State is bigger, stronger, faster than Boise State is. They got bigger meat on both sides of the ball. They're going to control both sides of the line of scrimmage, and they have very fast receivers. And if you don't have the speed and the athleticism to cover these guys, I mean, it's going to be a long night. That's why, you saw it last week. Trying to take these dogs is very, very hard to do when you're playing very good teams. And to me, I think Penn State can win the whole thing. If I was betting it now, I'd pick them. I think they got a hell of a shot. So I just don't see taking a team that I know is not going to win. And I've said this a bit.
Yeah, that's always been your approach, and a lot of times it blows up in your face. The other thing is, like, you guys might be right, but everybody's going to be overcorrecting now. Like, everybody's going to be taking.
Good point.
Yeah, I mean, the market's got to adjust.
That might be a good strategy. Like, if they may all blow everybody out. This may just be blowout after blowout until we get to the national championship and it's a good game. That very well may be the case, but we're going to see a lot of overcorrection. We're going to see these spreads get bigger and bigger as people start thinking, well, these teams like Arizona State and Boise State and Georgia without a quarterback or whatever, Notre Dame, who cares? Whoever the underdog is, they're all going to get blown out because that's what happens until we get to, like the 3 or 4 really good teams, and then they play each other close. A lot of times the national championship game is a blowout in college. It's just a weird, funky sport. And right now I want to be cautious of overcorrecting and just, basically chasing my tail and being like, well, I was wrong last week, so I'll just take all the favorites this week. And then I'm getting blown out this week because, some of these underdogs are a little bit tougher opponents and are very, like, they can see a national championship game. It's only 2 wins away. Like, all Boise has to do is, grab a quick lead, 14-0, and all of a sudden everyone at Penn State is starting to, melt down. And it's not as though Boise can't do that. And I just don't think Boise is SMU. Like, this is a program that has been in this spot before, and it may have been a long time ago or whatever. They may not happen every year, but Boise is almost always in the conversation. This is a program that prides itself on being one of these non-Power 5, like, really good football teams. They put a lot of money into this program, and I think it might be squirrely, at least in the first half.
All right,
good point.
We got now we're starting to get to the teams that are really the sort of, Boise State's in the conversation on the periphery. These teams are often in the conversation at the very forefront of it. Notre Dame taking on Georgia. I mean, these are just 2 traditions that are sometimes delusional, often infuriating, but they're legit programs. And I just keep looking at it. Obviously, Georgia has the quarterback issue. Carson Beck isn't going to be playing. They're going to be rolling with their backup, Gunnar Stockton, for this game. Notre Dame's done nothing but win after that embarrassing loss a couple of months ago. I mean, and I just keep looking at the line. It looks like right now Georgia's about a 2-point favorite, somewhere around there, maybe 1.5, depending on where you're shopping. And I kept feeling like this line is probably 6 with a healthy back. Mm-hmm. So I feel like if you sort of are just looking at it and thinking, is Gunnar Stockton even that much worse than a really inconsistent Carson Beck? There might be value on Georgia here because I just feel like the spread is probably moving to account for Beck's injury, but I'm not really sure that it necessarily hurts Georgia that much.
Yeah, I mean, has Beck really been helping Georgia along
Right,
the way
yeah.
in the game? Like, he's been part of some of these losses. He's been a problem at times. I think you're probably right on this, that you're getting a lot of value here. If Beck's healthy, it's 6.5, maybe 7. With a new quarterback, a rookie quarterback, or a freshman quarterback, whatever he is, the backup. Gunnar Stockton, okay, now it's 2. Notre Dame looked convincing in the win against Indiana. They haven't lost in September. There's a lot to be said for that, but they don't exactly play the toughest schedule out there. I mean, they beat Army and Navy. They beat a couple teams. But the other thing is, is Kirby Smart going to lose in talk about not being intimidated by the moment? I mean, I just can't see him losing this game. And so then it's a matter of, okay, does he win by 1 or 3? It probably wins by 3. So I kind of like Georgia in this spot as well. I think in all the pools, I was trying to be clever and I picked, Georgia to lose just because I figure, well, if they do lose, maybe without Beck they lose. And so, I can catch everybody napping and get up in the pools, but I'm in last in all these pools. So it doesn't really matter at this point. I'll just go with UGA. I mean, the idea that the SEC reigns supreme, the SEC and the Big Ten, is not a bad strategy to just kind of bet. And Notre Dame is tough, but yeah, I think Georgia probably. It's that -2 is a really nice spread to be able to take a team that really has the potential to just blow them out.
And -125 on the money line is kind of a nice price for Georgia as well, just to win. I mean, I'm almost more inclined to do that just in case something weird happens.
So I'm going to be the contrarian here. I love Notre Dame in this game. Wow. I'm sick of Georgia. I'm sick of the whole thing. I'm sick of the program. I'm sick of the coach. I'm sick of Kirby. I'm sick of the talk. I'm sick of our Godzilla wins writer that follows every play. Brian Butcher, nice guy, sick of him. I'm sick of the whole thing. I'm just sick of the whole dog nation. This team is not that good. Right? How many games did they blow? They're not that good. Georgia this, Bulldogs that, Bulldog Nation, this, that, blah, blah, blah. You know what? Why aren't they a 5-6 point favorite here? Oh, Carson Beck is hurt. So what? He's had a horrible season. Guy throws interceptions. I mean, he's not that good, right? So, Carson Beck. No. You know what? This team has been overhyped the entire season. They're overhyped. They had that one big blowout against Texas, and everybody's, oh, well, there's the Dogs are back now. That's because, right, Sarkisian couldn't win a big game, whatever. They had that one blowout. They're living off one blowout against Texas. And all these other games, when they played a good team, they were in trouble. I love Notre Dame in this game. They got nothing to lose. They're better than you think they are on paper. They're playing winning football. They win the games they have to win. I love Notre Dame in this game.
Now I like Georgia even more.
Yeah,
the idea that Notre Dame is playing with house money, like a program with the most delusional fan base that hasn't won a meaningful game in 10 years. The fact that they're playing
why is it only a 2-point spread? Why isn't Georgia 5 or 6 in this?
We just talked about that.
I don't agree with you.
Their quarterback got injured, but these programs they have serviceable backups. That's how we all were introduced to Tua. We won the national championship game after Jalen is benched in that game. I mean, come on, guys. Gunnar Stockton is probably going to be fine here. Just the idea that Notre Dame is playing loose is ridiculous. That program has so much pressure on it all the time. If they lose this game, they're going to be considered a failure because they played a backup quarterback in a weak Georgia team. So I don't want to hear this like Notre Dame is dancing around the locker room oh hell yeah, we're in the college football playoff.
They're back, baby. They're back. I mean, they keep winning games.
No, they got a lot of pressure on them.
Yeah, you Georgia fans are just insufferable people, all of you. It's just insufferable.
We are going to do something. We're all on holiday break. We're all having a little fun, and we're going to do something that we don't often do on the show. I'm not sure if we've ever done it on this show. Maybe once. And then we never did it again. We have a caller, Adrian. We'll see if we want to do this ever again after this call. John, I'll let you take the lead on this.
888. Hey, you want to call in? 888 480, John. Look, I take calls all day. 888-480-5646. 888-480-5646. You can call us and weigh in, and we'd love to take your calls. And we'll go to Adrian on line one. Adrian, you're on with Nate and Jack.
Hey, Nate, Jack, John, thank you and allowing me to be in your presence. Hopefully I don't fumble this. Just real quick, I'm calling about Texas, but I think Notre Dame's going to win this game too. I don't know. I just have a gut feeling about it. You guys are not wrong, but I think I don't think Georgia's strong, even though I know they whooped us twice. I'm honest and I walk a straight line. But I'm calling about Texas. I want to get y'all's opinion on this. Been a Texas fan since I can remember, man. Earl Campbell, Vince Young, you name it, Applewhite, all the way down. Great backs that came out of Texas and such. I like the coach. Shashkiji is, I think, a solid coach. He knows how to recruit. I think he has the locker room, in control and such. I think he should have benched yours before the playoffs, and I'm gonna tell you why. You just mentioned it, and that was my whole point. Is when Coach pulled Hurts and put Tua in, that was a big-time decision for a big-time game. And I think the Western coach, Shashkiji, sorry, I have a problem saying that, is not jumping up to the next level in coaching. I'm not saying yours is a bust or he's not good, but I think he's really fallen off the map. His confidence is dropped. That's why he's a confidence coach, which you're an athlete. I don't know why you would even need a confidence coach. But with that being said, I think Manning should start. I think Manning should come in. I think he should roll over because I agree with the Clemson game. I don't think it was a huge game. I don't think Arizona's in a big game. I think we got lucky with the road we have to get to the Final Four in this. And I wanted you to think about that. Do you think Coach has the courage or the kahunas to make a bold move like that? I know it's probably not going to happen. This is wishful thinking on my side, being a Texas fan. But with that being said, do you think it's time to move on? Because I don't see the fire in the offense as we saw at the beginning of the year. I don't see the speed. I don't see just the elite talent that we think we have moving as fast as we were. Go ahead, gentlemen.
I mean, I think that well, to start, I obviously live in Texas, and I've heard a lot of Texas fans talk about similar complaints. And I think that when you look at Texas, it's sort of, I don't know. In some ways, college football fans are so vain. They want their offense to be the prettiest and the flashiest, and they want to score the most points, and they want to have the most yards, and they want it to be fast, and they want it to be spread out. And they don't. And that's not always the best to win games. Like Texas scored 38 points against a pretty stingy Clemson defense, and Quinn Ewers only had to throw for 200 yards. Like that's pretty good because they ran the ball really well. They were able to make enough plays in the passing game to be able to open up that run game. And I mean, like Manning might be like sexy and fun to think about, and it's really fun to sort of project into the future what he will be next season when he's the presumptive starter. But I mean, just for the sake of having a little bit more flash in the offense or a little bit more spark with the arm, I'm not sure it's exactly what Texas needs. I don't see their offense.
Look at the game last week, right? Clemson's closing. I think they had a 1st and goal on the 4 of 5. They go for 4th and goal. What was it, Nate, on the 1? Texas stops them, right? 5 minutes, 6 minutes to go in the game. They could have gotten a 3 and out. Clemson could have gotten the ball back at the 40 and maybe made a game of it. They went 99 yards and threw 2 passes. I mean, they just ran the football right in the end. And they ate up 4.5, 5 minutes. They iced the game. So right there, it tells you Clemson couldn't compete with them. And you don't need a flashy offense when you can run off tackle and get 5-6 yards of play. You don't do anything else. So I get what Adrian's saying. They don't have the flash there, but when they had to ice that game, Adrian, when they had to eat up clock on that drive, not only did they eat up clock, they went right in the end zone, scored. Game was over. Clemson then scored a garbage touchdown at the end to get within half of the spread. But that was it. I mean, Clemson had a shot, and Texas basically shut the door and then went right down the field and jammed it right down their throat, like right in their face. So yeah, it's not flashy, but I mean, they got the job done.
So a couple things here. that I'll just chime in. One, I love Texas fans. Like shouting out Major Applewhite and not Colt McCoy is like height, like Texas Longhorns fans. I mean, I know Adrian loves Colt McCoy too, but if you've spent time around Texas fans, they love Major Applewhite. So shout out to Applewhite. It's always a good one. I don't think Arizona State is the game to get cute with your quarterback for a couple of reasons. One, this is a game they should probably win handily. So why not just stick with the guy who's been doing it all year long? Two, Arizona State has the best running back in the country. He runs through everyone. He's gigantic. He's scary. And he plays with a lot of attitude. This is going to be probably a game where what you need from a quarterback is a game manager who doesn't make mistakes, which is what Ewers is in many respects. I think that Arizona State is going to control a lot of that clock with their running game. And they can, this is a big spot for Arizona State. They probably will make a couple mistakes. They probably will turn the ball over once or twice. And what you want is a quarterback who knows how to take care of the ball and can eat up a bunch of clock, getting down the field, relying on their defense. The last thing is Sarkisian doesn't have the capital in Austin that like Nick Saban had in Tuscaloosa or Kirby Smart has in Athens, where like it doesn't matter what Nick does when he was at Alabama. Alabama fans trusted Nick. They never questioned him. He won a bunch of national championships. If Sarkisian gets nervous and hooks Ewers for Arch, and Arch throws like 3 picks and they lose to ASU, I mean, that is not a situation where the next day in Austin, people are calling in being like, well, we trust Steve Sarkisian. So like he doesn't have I think the capital to take those types of risks. I think it's Ewers all the way this year. And then it's Arch going forward. And, if Texas continues this kind of trend of being in the conversation, Arch is going to get his opportunities in the college football playoff in the next few years. You just got to be patient. And we know Texas fans aren't always the most patient fan base, as some of these fan bases are. So I think it's an interesting point, one that I know Texas fans talk about a lot, but I don't think Sarkisian has the capital to pull it off here.
Yeah, and like, what do you do? Like, so you put in Arch, and then he plays horrible, and then Arch is probably finishing the game thinking, well, they kind of just pulled like they did, like that wasn't fair. Like to just throw me in mid game when we suck, and expect me to be great after I haven't taken a lot of starting practice reps. So then you're faced with like the doomsday scenario, which is like, let's put Arch in to get a little pump, and then he throws 3 picks, and then he just transfers because he hates Sarkisian and what he did to him in the biggest stage. You know what I mean? Like it can happen that fast.
A lot of pressure on the Longhorns.
All of a sudden he's in Oxford. It's
right,
like
yeah.
It's like you put him in one mistake where all the Manning family is watching, and he throws like 3 picks on the biggest stage, and then all of a sudden he's like moving all his stuff to Oxford and talking about how Ole Miss is, has always been his home. So with the transfer portal too, that's a good point, Nate. You really got to be careful with your star quarterback. If you piss them off, they're going to leave.
That's right. Well, speaking of leaving, Nate, Ann and I go to Washington. We got a place there, so we're kind of fired up. We're going to be covering the incoming Trump administration, and I'm going to be at the press briefings every day. So we're going to DC. But when you move into a new place, and we still got the place here in Pittsburgh, you got to buy a bunch of stuff, right? You got to buy bedding, you got to buy beds, you got to buy pillows, you got to buy mattresses, you got to buy comforters, you got to buy towels, you got to buy all this stuff. You got to buy it all. So like I could have gone to the store and spent like thousands of dollars, but no, here's what I did. I went to mypillow.com. mypillow.com. We have outfitted our entire place in Washington, D.C., 2 blocks from the White House on MyPillow with Mike Lindell. We got 2 beds. Not only did we buy the mattresses and the mattress toppers, but we got at the great discount, by the way, with promo code Godzilla, we got the bed frames with it. So we didn't have to buy the bed frame. So they shipped the bed, they shipped the mattress, they shipped the bed frame. We got the Giza sheets on sales. Got a great deal on that. Of course, we got all of my pillows at $14.98, marked down from $88. We got those. We got the down comforter. I even bought a Sammy cat bed because Sammy's going to come. So I got that. It's all shipped there direct. All my towels, the dish towels, socks, because I buy their crew socks, extra pair of slippers because I don't want to cart them back from Pittsburgh. All there, all on My Pillow, all the best Christmas deals, plus free shipping over $75. You can't beat that. Plus money back guarantee right up till the end of March. All of that right there on My Pillow, and they have outfitted my entire Washington home. And we're going to be two blocks from that White House, and I saved, I don't know, at least $2,000 by shopping there. And I got better quality stuff. Can't beat it, guys. Whatever you want, towels, dish towels, socks, it's all right there. Slippers to die for, the robe, the down comforter, you name it, cat bed, dog bed, it's all there. All you got to do is go to mypillow.com, mypillow.com, promo code Godzilla. Got to put that promo code Godzilla in, and you are just good to go. mypillow.com, promo code Godzilla. I just want to thank Michael and Deb. Want to thank Dawn. Want to thank his whole team for helping me with this order. These guys are the best. mypillow.com, promo code Godzilla. Big savings, great products.
Answered my question. I was wondering when you got a new place if you were going to buy new slippers for the place or if you just pack them for when you're going to the place.
New slippers, baby. I got to have them there. I can't be packing my I got to have them at home. I got to look. I got 3 pair because one stays in my travel bag. So I got 3. Can't leave home without my slippers.
All right, that's going to do it for us for the top of the hour. We're going to be back for the second hour here after a quick minute reset, so don't change the dial. We're going to keep talking college football. We're having so much fun. We still got a couple games to do, and then we'll roll into the NFL. We will see you guys in 1 minute.
You're listening to Godzilla Wins on the John Fredericks Media Network. For a deeper dive without the jive, visit the website of winners, GodzillaWins.com. Let's get back to the show with the guys in the know, John, Jack, and Nate. It's Godzilla Wins on the John Fredericks Media Network.
Welcome back to hour 2 of the Godzilla Wins Saturday Pick Show. We are running with the old school crew, the ones that started it all. Jack Fredericks, editor extraordinaire of GodzillaWins.com, and the father of the family business, John Fredericks.
Hey, Nate, I like the, I know you have to do that disclaimer, but I love the old school thing. Actually, this should be a tradition that like every year, Christmas week, we do old school. Just the 3 of us, like the way we started. When do we start this? A while back, right?
I think this will be year 3 coming up, maybe.
Year 3 coming up, so we've completed
2.5 years into it. But I'm not going on tape committing to every Christmas show. I didn't even do this Christmas. So yeah, you don't put that in writing, but I'm having fun today. So
all right, before we get going, I want to remind all of you that Godzilla Wins is brought to you by Native Path. Go to getnativepath.com/Godzilla. Little collagen. Everybody's using it. I'm using it. John's using it. Jay, when he's here, he's using it. Mitch is often on the show. He's using it. Ann's using it. Everybody's using collagen. We all love the collagen. Better for your skin, better for your hair, nails. John's found it to be just, sort of full body support. Your joints start feeling a little bit better when you're just, feeling a little bit better. So go to Godzilla or getnativepath.com/Godzilla. Get started on your collagen journey for as low as $21 at 45% off. All right.
Yeah, and you're going to feel better and you're going to look better and your hair's going to grow back. A lot of people have been commenting that my hair's growing back. But I tell you, the best thing about college is not only do you feel better because it's an essential protein, Nate, you got to have in your body because as you get older, it depletes out. So you're going to feel better. You're going to look better. You get a little color back in your skin. But I've lost 40 pounds, and collagen is not a weight loss supplement. But here's what it does: you feel better. You don't have the pain in your joints. So what do you do? You move around more. So when you feel better, you do things like I take the stairs instead of the elevator now. In the airport in Pittsburgh, they got this humongo like escalator walkway that you just put your bag down and sit there. And it goes, now I don't do that. And never did that. She'd be like, old men do that. But I'm like, my back hurts. But now I don't, right? I just walk down only because I feel better. And so as a result of that, I've lost weight. I've lost 40. I got another 30 to go. I'll do that by the end of December 2025. But just check this out. Go to getnativepath.com and do it now because you're going to forget. Just do it now right in your phone. Getnativepath.com/Godzilla. No promo code. Getnativepath.com/Godzilla. Get your collagen now. 2 weeks, you're going to thank me. You're going to feel so much better. Getnativepath.com/Godzilla.
In just a minute, John's going to maybe open up the phone lines again, and we're going to see if we can take some more callers. We liked it so much the first time. Felt so nice. I think we're going to do it at least twice. So we'll be doing that in just a second, but we are going to be giving out some gambling picks here. That's kind of our thing, but they are for entertainment purposes only. And if you have a gambling problem, go ahead and call 1-800-GAMBLER. If you live in Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Louisiana, Maryland, Michigan, Nebraska, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, or Wyoming, call 1-800-327-5050 or visit gamblinghelpline-ma.org. If you're in Massachusetts, 877-GHOPE-NY or just text HOPE-NY. In New York, 1-800-NEXT-STEP in Arizona, 1-800-522-4700 in Kansas or New Hampshire, 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut, 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa or visit opgr.org if you are in Oregon. All right. So, John, why don't you give out the phone number and we'll see if we can't find some people to.
Hey, we're going to open the phone lines up because it is between Christmas and New Year. So we're going to open the phone lines up and you can give us a call. Al is there to take your call. 888-480-JOHN, 888-480-5646, 888-480-5646. We'd love to get you in, see what you have to say. A lot of guys in the chat. So in the Getter Live chat, which we are now, but just give us a call. We want to get your thoughts, college football, pro football, what's ever on your mind, athletics, not politics. We do that Monday to Friday. Enough of that, right? 888-480-JOHN, 888-480-5646. We'd love to have you in. Al loves taking your calls. He loves taking your calls. Smooth Al. So give him a buzz and you're good to go.
All right. So we'll see if we can get any callers. And in the meantime, we'll just kind of press forward with kind of some stuff that we had on the schedule. We kind of teased this a little bit, I think, just our last caller, but we didn't really talk about, I guess, like our betting angle. We just talked about all of the worst case scenarios for Steve Sarkisian. Arizona State's between like a 13 and a half, 14-ish point favorite, 13 kind of depending on where you are, or underdog to Texas. Texas is a big favorite. Arizona State is obviously sort of the Cinderella team, the surprise team, getting a bye, all of that. As far as what we thought they would do at the beginning of the season versus what they're doing now, huge difference. Probably the biggest sort of margin. Can Arizona State keep the Cinderella thing alive?
Yes, we don't.
Yeah.
We don't, Nate, we don't know how good Arizona State is. That's really the problem. And look, the Big 12 getting no respect here. Is it just no respect? I mean, they win the conference. They're a 14-point underdog. If Clemson scores that touchdown, they cover in that game, right? So we lost by the hook. I get it. I'm an adult. That stuff happens. But I'm going to take the 14 again because we don't really know how good this team is. I mean, every time they've had a competitive game, they've looked really, really good. The thing that I love about them is their speed, their defensive speed. Their cornerbacks are fast, their safety's fast. So Texas is not going to be able to throw the football down the field the way maybe they have over some of these other teams. Now they're not as big as up front, but look, you have to ask yourself right now: is the quality of play in the Big 12, Nate, better than the ACC football? I don't think there's any question. I mean, the the ACC football is now turned into a B league as far as I'm concerned. So Clemson was a 1 yard away from covering in that game. 1 yard. They scored that touchdown. They cover. They were 1 yard away. Now they're playing Arizona State, which is a better football team and a better conference with better competition. And, I just think Texas here might be a little fat and happy. A lot of pressure on them. I'm gonna take the dog here because I think Arizona State, I wouldn't be shocked if this game went down to the wire.
Yeah, this was really the only game that I kind of had circled, and I've had circled for a little while where I just really like Arizona State in this spot as well. Some of it has to do with what we were talking about. There are teams that come into this being pretty loose and they can be pretty dangerous. And I think that there's probably not a looser team in this playoff that really just doesn't feel like they have to prove anything to anybody. Even teams that sort of snuck in, SMU, Clemson, Tennessee, they snuck in, and in some ways they were playing with house money, but they have fan bases that are just so demanding of them that there's still a tremendous amount of pressure. Notre Dame maybe feels like they're playing with house money as they sort of enter the next round, but even they have, massive fan bases with a tremendous amount of pressure. Arizona State has a fan base, but I wouldn't say they're putting a lot of pressure on them. I don't think that anyone looks at ASU and thinks, my God, when are we going to win our national title? The same can't be said for basically all of those other schools I just mentioned,
Yeah, so I like what you're saying here, and I did struggle the game as well. I figure at some point some underdog is going to have to cover, right?
Some point it has to happen.
They're not going to go 19-0, right? So at some point, an underdog is going to cover if there's any chance for it. I think this could be it here, but I agree with you. There's no pressure on him. This is a better team than meets the eye, and the conference is better than meets the eye. A lot of people mock the conference now without Texas and Oklahoma in it, but it's a pretty competitive football conference. It's a good basketball conference. It's a good baseball conference. It's just a good conference. And a lot of these teams, they play very tough games week after week. They do a lot of traveling. So, why not? Why not take a shot here with Tempe, go with Arizona State? Obviously, I got their hat on that Jack gave me for Christmas. Thank you, son. It looks so good on me. So now I got my WVU, I got my WV hat, I got my Arizona State hat. I'm good to go. Don't wear the old Miss hat now anymore. It's too far removed, 20 years removed. God. But and I never had a Nevada hat, but so now I've got these two. But I like ASU here, and why not? Right? I think this is a fun game.
Yeah, I think it's a fun game too. And I do really like what Arizona State has been doing. We've talked about, obviously, Kenny Dillingham, the coach, and sort of breathing new life into the program. And they have an elite running back with Cam Sketabo. And it's just going to be, I think, a really fun game to watch. I hope, we're sick of watching these blowouts. We've also been trying to drag out this game for long enough that Jack can chime in on it. We did.
You did good, Nate. That's a very good host to drag it out. Good job.
Arizona State by a touchdown.
Yeah, baby. Let's go.
Why not? You know what I mean?
Why not?
They've been underestimated all year. All they do is win. They got a really good running back. One of the things that's important about the college football playoff or any college football game of high stakes, you have to have a game changer. You have to have one guy who can take over the game, or you can't win these high stakes games against opponents that are better than you. He's one of those guys, he can take over a game. He can run for 200 yards. He can blow up your defensive game plan. And they have a coach that understands how to talk to young men without chastising them for entering the transfer portal or wanting more money or, belittling them and treating them like children, which is the most important quality now in a coach. You're going to see it more and more that these coaches like Kenny Dillingham are going to be in high demand, who can talk to young players as though they are adults and should be taken seriously because they have all the power now. So there's no more, I'm scared of Nick Saban. I signed my 4-year deal and I have to be yelled at for 4 years. It's just not the case anymore. They can just bail. and go to Ohio State and make, $2 million a year. So you have to have coaches that know how to talk to these guys. Kenny Dillingham is one of those coaches. So I'm going with Arizona State here. Why not? Let's have some fun.
Great analysis.
We're all united on Arizona State. Last game on the docket before we move on from this is probably, I think this is probably the game. I mean, I think that most people really are probably looking forward to this the most if they're just sort of a neutral football fan. Ohio State, who looked excellent last week, taking on Oregon, who's done nothing wrong all season. Oregon's plus 2.5. That's how much we're reacting to this Ohio State blowout win last week.
First of all, this line
minus 2.5 over
this line pisses me off.
number 1 seeded Oregon.
This line pisses me off. The Ducks are the number 1 team. They've blown out everybody. And they go into this game a 2.5-point underdog against Ohio State that can't win a big game, that just got beat by Michigan a couple of weeks ago. And now I'm going to get 2.5, and I got the best team in college football. I mean, what disrespect they're getting in Vegas. And I think one of you guys said a week ago you were making a bet on principle. Maybe it was Nate or Jack. One of you guys said it. You were betting somebody just on principle. This to me, this is a principle bet. I mean, what? I'm going to sit there and I'm going to lay 2.5 on Ohio State, who just got beat by Michigan, and then whined because they planted their flag in their field. And then the General Assembly tried to pass a law that you can't plant a flag when the coach didn't have the balls, Ryan Day, to get up there and said, you know what? I'm going to keep that flag there for 6 months because we sucked today and couldn't score a point in the second half, and they deserve to put the flag on our field. That's the kind of coach they got. Instead, he's whining and complaining and passing laws in the General Assembly. What a bunch of crock. I love the Ducks in this game. They're going to win the whole game. I don't think this is going to be close. And for all these Ohio State fans out there, I mean, you talk about men and accountability. Where is the accountability here? Where is it? You got your ass kicked at home by Michigan. You can't score a point in the second half. Team's not even ranked. And then you're passing laws in the state assembly because somebody planted a flag in your field. And then you as the coach whined about it. Get out of my face. He's going to lose. He's out. And they're going to bring in Mike Vrabel. Can't wait.
They're not going to hire Mike Vrabel. That's just not happening. So also, to be fair to Ryan Day, he has no control over what Republican legislators introduced bills to the General Assembly in January.
Yeah, but he sat there and whined instead of saying, hey, own up to it.
But he's not involved in the political process. And so you made a good point before you really went off the rails with your emotions there. That I think this is a principal bet for sure. Like, are you kidding me? I mean, you're catching 2 points with the number 1 seeded team that has shown no real signs of weakness. Now, there's the other argument that, Nate and I have talked about before. And Nate, sometimes I confuse this. So, correct me if I'm wrong. But it's basically that if the higher seeded team is the dog, then you take the team that's favored because Vegas knows something and is trying to bait you into it. But I have a hard time doing that this time. Oregon's a good team, man. I mean, what's wrong with Oregon? Like, they beat everybody. They play in a tough conference. They didn't play like a pancake schedule. They got a bye. Dan Lanning's a great coach. Like, what is the? I understand the Ohio State blowout, but also, Nate, Tennessee isn't that good. Like, that was not a team that really should have been there either. 4 road games all year. We knew they were going to get blown out. Like, we knew that was going to happen. Ohio State is a tough team. They should have been in the Big Ten championship. They should have, maybe beaten Oregon and gotten a bye or whatever. They're great. They're a great team. This maybe I just thought this line would have been Oregon -2, and I would have been comfortable taking Oregon -2. So I'll take Oregon +2. I mean, I don't really see. Like, I see the overreaction, but Oregon is a good football team, and they're going to keep this close. I might as well take the points.
I mean, yeah. So a few things to sort of like illustrate this. It's like, okay, so this line looks weird. We've all agreed on that. And it's like, okay, so why does it look weird? Well, Oregon's 13-0, and they haven't lost a game, and now they're an underdog for the first time this season, basically. It also looks weird because Ohio State's lost twice. They lost to Michigan, who Oregon beat by 21 points, and they lost to Oregon by 1 point in a very close game towards the beginning of the season. So, is this the whole line just a
where was that
reaction
game,
to the
Nate?
testing?
Where they when Oregon won, was that in Ohio State or was that in Washington? I mean Oregon.
It was in Oregon.
Thank you.
So, I look at it and I just think there's not like the only way to describe why Ohio State would be favored to a team that they lost to, like at this point in the season, to a team that has had no real injury problems. Oregon's still fine.
Right.
They're not going to have defections to the transfer portal, not for as long as Phil Knight is alive. So it's like, why? And that's why I kind of makes me want to just take Ohio State, because I just don't get it. It just looks like a trap.
Good point.
Like Ohio State sneaks into this thing. They're the 6th seed. They're playing the number 1 seed, and somehow they're a favorite. It's like, that doesn't make any sense to me. I can't rationally make like a really good argument for it, other than I feel like the sports books are just thinking that Ohio State really kind of figured it out, last week, and maybe they did.
Look, Ohio State's got a fan base, right? I mean, it's fan bases sometimes are going to affect the line.
That's true too.
They have fan base. Oregon is, out in Eugene, Oregon, in the middle of nowhere. But I'm with Jack here. They played a tough schedule. They play in a Big Ten. They have to fly across the country half their games, so they're pretty tough. And nobody's even, except for that one game which they squeaked out, and nobody's really touched them. So I'm just going to take the 2.5 and laugh my ass off. Hey guys, just one quick thing. What do you think about these games being played in the middle of the week, like Tuesday, Wednesday? Is that because of New Year's? Basically, they're trying to model the bowls. Is that kind of the philosophy here?
Yeah,
New Year's Eve and New Year's Day.
These are just the traditional days that these bowls are typically played anyways. So it's just whatever day of the week, New Year's Day is
right
when the bowls happen.
Got it.
Yeah. All right. I think we could probably pivot off college for a little while, and maybe try and do some NFL. There's some games that we can react to. We don't have to spend a ton of time reacting to the Christmas Day games. I'm sure we both watched them. So the Chiefs beat the Steelers pretty easily. The Ravens just totally dismantled the Texans. Were there big?
You got to look at the fiasco right now going on in Pittsburgh, right? I mean, I live here. 3 weeks ago, this team was going to win the division, get a bye, and a lot of people like me thought they could go to the Super Bowl. Then they lose 3 straight games and get blown out, all 3. None of the games were they in the game in the third quarter. 0. Not good. Going down the stretch, losing these games and getting crushed. Now they're whining about, they play too many games in 11 days. Hey, man up. Okay, it's football, right? Coaches and teams go through this every day, right? Same thing with Kansas City. They only had 4 days rest or whatever it is. You got to man up and play at home. 3 games in a row, the Steelers are not in any game. Not in the game in the third quarter. This is supposed to be a Super Bowl team. Yes, they had Pickens back. They've got a lot of injuries, but every NFL team right now, guys, is banged up. Every single one. So stop your whining. I think, look, they're not going to win a division. Ravens going to win a division. Now they're a wild card. They got to go on the road. I think week 1 they're bounced.
Okay. I mean, okay. So the Chiefs played better than they have played most of the season, I think, on Christmas. Like, of course they did. Like, it's the Chiefs. Like, when everybody's watching, they look like they're going to win the Super Bowl. And then when nobody's watching at 1:00 on a random Sunday in October, they look bad. I mean, that's like Travis Kelce has been awful all year long. And all of a sudden he's like back to being a world beater. So like part of it is just, it's tough to beat the Chiefs with all the eyeballs on them. Russ threw a pick in the end zone, right? That was like that was sort of I think that was that game. That was kind of a huge moment that changed the momentum. I mean, I don't know, other than Pittsburgh Steelers fans, I don't know anyone who was saying the Steelers 4 weeks ago were going to win the Super Bowl. Nobody even said that on the show.
3 weeks ago.
No.
They look like a very solid team.
They looked fine. I mean, but not like they're going to win the Super Bowl. I mean, we have a Steelers like beat writer mega fan, and he's never said they're going to win the Super Bowl. This is what happens. You get down to the last couple games of the year. They played some tough teams. They lost some games. They're going to end up with a wild card spot, maybe a divisional spot. If they can hold on to it, and they'll probably be all right. I mean, Russ can be kind of dangerous in the playoffs. He's he likes the moment too sometimes. Not as much as Patrick Mahomes. The best stat, and I think I sent this to Nate, but maybe not. The best stat I saw was like some sort of point differential stat, and the Chiefs were like with the three worst teams in the league as far as like just point differentials. And I don't know if I'll have to look it up. I don't know if it was point differential, something like that.
But they win all these close games. I mean, it's
of course. I mean,
stunning.
And look at the Bengals, right? Like the Bengals, they're still in the playoff hunt. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But, I think the Steelers are fine. I mean, the Chiefs are the Chiefs. This is what they do. At Christmas Day, they were always going to win this game by 20 points. Like it's just the model. It's the modus operandi
but if
of
you're,
a team that's used to this.
If you're Pittsburgh, you just lost three in a row and got blown out all three games. Blown out, not in the game in the third quarter. Now you go 4 weeks back, you get the Washington game. If the Washington guy doesn't jump off sides, they lose that game, right? So that was the end of them. So they lose that game. So there's 4 games here they could have got beaten in a row, and
they lost to the Eagles, Ravens, and Chiefs. I mean, it's a tough schedule.
That's a playoff schedule. They didn't beat a playoff team,
but they're not in the playoffs yet.
And they should have got beat by Washington. I think first round. Bye out. They're going to get bounced.
I mean, it could be. I mean, I guess my big thing that I was thinking about is how much have we and other just talking heads, and how many articles have I read about how Kansas City's offense just kind of stinks, and Patrick Mahomes is just a dink and dunk passer. His average depth of target is like somewhere in like the bottom 10th centile for the NFL. Like, he's down there, sort of like in Aaron Rodgers territory in terms of like depth of target, which is often sort of an indicator of like offensive success. You got to be able to push the ball down the field through the air. And then all he does when all eyes are on him on Christmas Day against a pretty good defense with the Steelers, all he does is throw for 320 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions. And it's like, oh, so that was there the whole time.
Yeah, you can't bet against Kansas City. I mean, it's as simple as that. You just watch them, and you just know that Mahomes is going to make the play. I mean, every time he had a 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, he's going to make the play. He's going to complete the pass. Somebody's going to be wide open. Kelsey's there. He's going to run the ball. He's going to get out of it. I mean, it's just the guy is an unbelievable quarterback, athlete, fun to watch, and they're impossible to bet against. You might not want to lay 5 or 6 or 7, whoever they're playing, but good luck betting against this team on the money line. I mean, I'm just not going to do it. I mean, the Thursday, whatever that game was, Christmas Day, I'm done. So I lost 3 bets on the Steelers, 3 games in a row, not in any of them. I watch them every week. They're done. So move on. Somebody else. Team to watch, Chargers.
Yeah, and so there's another game on Christmas Day that stunk, and we don't need to spend a ton of time thinking about it. But like Baltimore looked really good. I mean, and the Texans just looked like a lost team.
Smoke and mirrors, dude. Yeah. Smoke and mirrors. They've been a fraud all season. They're a fraudulent team. Texas is smoke and mirrors. Yeah. Whoever they're playing in the first round of the play, they won the division because everybody else stinks. Right? Titans, Colts. Who else is in there? Jaguars. I mean, it's the worst division in the history of man. So they win this thing by default. Every time they play a good team, they get blown out. Team is a total fraud. They're another team, first round of the playoffs, bounced. See ya.
Yeah. CJ Stroud, I'm kind of sad because he looked so promising last year. Like I was like, oh my God, this guy's like going to be one of these quarterbacks that we can make a lot of money on in his sophomore season. Underestimated, and yet he still just he crushes all the time. And they just haven't looked very good. But I mean, I don't know if that. I mean, look, they play in a bad division. They're going to be they're going to be in the wild card. Maybe they win, maybe they don't. Who knows? They're at home, so it's different. Ravens are a tough team, man. Ravens look real good. and they're continuing to peak. They're locked in. So I mean, we don't need to spend a ton of time on that, but the overall takeaway in that game should be less the Texans stink and more like maybe the Ravens are like a serious Super Bowl contender, and a running back that seems to is looking to make his mark in the playoffs. A really good quarterback and a good defense. This doesn't look like that Ravens team from the last couple of years with all the injuries and the blowing, 14, 20-point leads in the fourth quarter. Looks locked in, and they're going to win. They're probably going to win the division. And I think that if you bite for Ravens Super Bowl futures, I wouldn't discourage.
Yeah, I kind of agree. The last game, I guess, that we need to recap, and again, we don't need to spend a ton of time on this one either. I guess it's just like if every game was like the Thursday night football game, we would not have a radio show dedicating an hour to football in the NFL. It would just be like a nothing sport. It would be like us just trying to make it on national radio covering lacrosse because nobody would watch it. It's just
or field hockey.
6-3, no touchdowns.
Horrible.
Two teams that should have better offenses.
Worst game I've ever seen on TV. And forget the rain. Teams playing in rain. It's football. You play in the rain. You play baseball. If you live in West Virginia, you play for the Mountaineers. You pitch in the rain. Part of what happens. So don't be telling me about rain. Here's what I felt bad for. I felt bad for the 70,000 fans packing that stadium on whatever day that was, Christmas night or something, or the day after, whatever it was. I mean, 70,000 fans sitting there in the rain watching that crap team on the field. I mean, and then the Seahawks like fumbling the football. The whole thing, there was like 90 punts? What a joke. To even put that on TV is a crime. That to endure watching it. And then, like an idiot, I bet the Seahawks -4, like kick a freaking field goal, win the game. Unbelievable. Worst game I've seen in years. And this is the NFL has got to figure this out. They got all these games on TV during the week. I mean, you got to figure out that Seahawks Bears is going to suck. Why is that your primetime game on the day after Christmas? Like, change it out. They got to do something about this because it's going to hurt the product.
Right.
They can't. Okay, but I mean, they can't flex a Thursday night game just because the Bears suck. I mean, like those games are on this. Those games are on the schedule. At the beginning of the year, it's not like changing out your Sunday night game for a Sunday afternoon game, and just be having a later start time or something. I mean, this is like 3 days, and the Bears have a massive following, regardless of if they stink or not. The Bears fans watch this team every week, for better or for worse. Yeah, I mean, it was a bad game. I don't know how else to like explain it. I mean, it wasn't the rain, but look, the Seahawks live to fight another day. They're trying to get in the playoffs. All right. Geno Smith trying to get in the playoffs. They get the W. They get out of there. Caleb Williams looks like a rookie quarterback. I think he'll be fine at some point. But they need a good coach. The Bears need either an offensive mastermind. But to be honest with you, what I think they need is someone like Mike Vrabel, someone who is more of a general manager, culture builder, can get the right people in place and nurture someone like Caleb Williams, draft well, and just start to put together a better product.
What about Pete Carroll?
I don't think Pete Carroll's in the market, but I think they need someone like that, and they need to stop firing everyone. I mean, like if you're going to be bad, just be bad with the same guys for a while. Every year they're firing the general manager, the head coach, the offensive coordinator. It's like they just need some consistency.
Stability.
Find a coach you kind of like, and just roll with it for 4 years and see what happens. Because like this isn't working.
Right.
It's not working. And, and also the thing that's not working is just Thursday night football, right? Like we've been complaining about Thursday night games for the whole season. And then the last Thursday night game of the season was just like the cherry on top of that Sunday, where it's just like, okay, this is just the worst product, and you saved the worst for last. We've been complaining about it all season, and then we get this just total clunker. And this happens every year. I mean, I can remember a lot of these games towards the end of the season last season on Thursday night because, they aren't terribly meaningful, but they do have a hard time flexing them out. Guys don't like playing on Thursday anyways, so it's like if you don't have anything to play for, then it's just even more meaningless, which I think is part of it.
I mean,
Okay.
could you be getting here to product dilution, right? I mean,
Yeah.
product dilution. I mean, because I don't watch the Thursday night games except I was off, so I got to subject myself to that clown show this week. But I go to bed. Obviously, I get up too early, so I haven't watched game this season. But I read about it when I get up the following day, and they just all suck. So maybe we're just diluting the product. I mean, you get all these games
No,
Sunday
you
night.
can't. You can't dilute the NFL product. Like the Monday night games suck too. Sometimes we just don't talk about it. It's a
Right.
talking
That's
point to
right.
talk about how Thursday night games suck.
Good point.
We're going to get some Saturday night games. The Christmas Day games weren't exactly like amazing either. Those were kind of
No.
blowouts too. So this just happens. Like Thursday night, it's a narrative that the games always suck and the
Right.
players hate doing it. But we had two kind of bad Christmas games.
Right.
We may have some clunkers on Saturday night.
Right.
Like it's not product dilution. This is the best sport in the country. So I mean it's fine. And Amazon does a pretty good job putting the game on. So you're going to get these clunkers. You get them at 1:00 on Sunday too, and people have to suffer through that as well.
Well, the Bears need to get some healthy cell, and they need to do something because that team is such. I mean, I would hate to be a Bears fan. I feel sorry for their fans because I think Jack you were saying last week you were going to Atlanta and you had a guy on a plane that was all decked out in his Bears garb, his Bears bling. I mean, you see this all the time. Bears fans are so passionate about their team, and like they just don't have a product to put on the field. And maybe what they need to do is get healthy cell. Maybe they'll feel better. Maybe they'll get some vitamins in it. Maybe they'll get a good night's sleep, like I do. Healthy cell is the best thing you'll possibly do for you and your body this year. Like always New Year's resolutions, right? Do it. Just go to healthycell.com/Godzilla, healthycell.com/Godzilla. Do it now. Promo code Godzilla. You get 20% off REM sleep, joint health and mobility. You take the Focus like I do, the multivitamin. You can take all four, 2 of the 4, pick one. But for the money you're going to invest in your body, it's one of the greatest bargains. It's basically like collagen. It's one of the greatest bargains out there that you're ever going to find. They've been with us forever. They're a believer in our show. And so do me a favor, do your family a favor. Just go to healthycell.com/Godzilla, promo code Godzilla, get 20% off. If nothing else, get REM sleep, get joint health and mobility. You're going to feel better immediately.
All right. So now that we've rehashed some of the good, bad, and the ugly of the early part of the NFL week, we can start looking forward. There's some games today. There's some games Sunday. We're a little bit off schedule. I don't know if we want to lead with the games today or if there's certain games that guys are thinking about. This is sort of a moment where I guess we can just sort of open it up since we are going to necessarily have to skip some stuff because we're having so much fun that we only have 25 minutes to cover games. What do you guys... All right, so I'll just start it off. I like the Chargers here in about 2 hours, 2.5 hours. I think that they win. I think that they keep sort of marching towards some success in the AFC. They look like a team that's starting to pull it together. New England is obviously just stuck in reverse, and they're not going anywhere. I love the Chargers today. I don't know if John has made his bets for today.
Chargers, I'm with you 100%. I think this is the most dangerous team in the playoffs. Nobody wants to play them. Nobody wants to play Harbaugh. Nobody wants to play their quarterback right now. Harbaugh's probably got to go down in history now as one of the best NFL coaches ever. Took this team over. They had 5 wins, complete disarray. Now they got a shot to win playoff games. I love the Chargers here today. I agree.
Shout out to the AFC West, right? Chiefs 15-1, Chargers 9-6, Broncos 9-6, all still kind of in it for the playoffs. I think the Chargers and Broncos are kind of. Did the Chargers clinch the playoffs?
I think they're still them clinch with the win today.
I think that's right.
Either or both.
So, yeah, that's right. So I mean, they're a dangerous team. If they end up playing like Houston, like Dad was saying, I mean, I think they just roll. There's some other teams that maybe it's a little bit tougher for them to for them to roll, but they're yeah. I mean, look, like John Harbaugh has been incredible. Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh has been incredible as a coach just everywhere. I mean, it's amazing to watch him just have success literally everywhere outside of a couple seasons in Michigan where he was trying to rebuild the program. He's an incredible NFL coach. He's a good college coach. He's probably going to win a Super Bowl at some point with Herbert. This is a tough team. They're going to blow out New England. They're not going to lose again this season, maybe. And they're going to be a very dangerous team in the playoffs. I think we're all on that. And we get to see him on Saturday. So we get to see a little prime time Jim Harbaugh, which is always fun. And the Patriots are
-6. So. -6 is just not big of a deal here. If it was 7 or 8, you might say, well, New England.
No, the Patriots are 3-12. They suck.
Yeah, I mean, they just suck. I mean, I hope. Look, I would hope they win, even though I'd lose the bet because it moves the Titans up in the draft pick order. But they're not going to win this game. Chargers are not going to lose this game here in New England. So maybe they win by 4, 6, 8, 10. But I'm going to bet the Chargers.
Yeah, I mean, you got to like the Chargers, and you got to love what Jim Harbaugh's done in LA. For a guy that's so weird, and I think is so weird that he doesn't get enough credit for just being so incredible at coaching football. I mean, he basically never loses anywhere he goes at any stage. From his days at University of San Diego up to Stanford, over to Michigan, San Francisco.
Wins. Wins. I mean, you look at two teams that had 2 new coaches. You had the Titans had 6 wins. They got a new coach. They got 3 wins. They suck, and the whole franchise is collapsing. You go to San Diego. They had 5 wins. They bring in Harbaugh.
Yeah.
He has 1 pick ahead of Tennessee. They both picked an offensive lineman. He's going to the playoffs and is going to win a playoff game. I mean, come on, man. There's no doubt this guy knows how to run a football team, and my hat off to him.
Yeah.
Can I jump in with one other game that I'm interested in your guys' thoughts?
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys probably are going to be like, I don't know why he wants to talk about this, but Bucks Panthers. Bucks are an 8.5-point spread. I don't know what to do with this team. We just talked about the Chargers, right? How much we love them. The Bucks beat the brakes off the Chargers 2-3 weeks ago. Then they play Dallas. They lose by 2, which I think Dallas, right, still mathematically alive, trying to fight for that playoff spot. Yep. Mike McCarthy fighting for his job, baby.
Yep.
Which also shout out to Mike McCarthy. I was watching the Aaron Rodgers documentary on Netflix called Enigma, which actually is like pretty good. I'm not like a Rodgers. Yeah, I'm not like a Rodgers guy, but like the documentary is pretty good, and he's so sad. Like there's like a void in Aaron Rodgers that he can't fill. And he had like what seems like a pretty complicated sort of bringing up, and but Mike McCarthy is in it a lot, and he sounds smart, which is I think why he's always getting jobs, because he's like very like good.
At great interview.
Dude, he's great at just talking football. He just isn't great at executing football. But anyway, Panthers Bucks. I don't know what to do with this game. The Bucks they need to basically win out. Falcons look pretty good with Penix, so a little bit of pressure there. These guys are fighting for a divisional title, but the Panthers suck. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Panthers. I love the Panthers in this game. You cannot lay points on Tampa because you don't know who the hell shows up week to week, right? You just don't know. You can't lay every time you lay points on the Bucks, you lose. Every time you think, okay, this team's finally hit the stride, you lose. So here's the thing about Carolina. Okay, if you're a Cats fan out there, you got hope, right? You got hope. This team has hope. I mean, they played a lot of competitive games here at the end. They're fighting to the end. They're not quitting. They're not giving up. I give a shout out to their spirit. Bryce Young, they benched him. I'm not a fan. He came back. He looks better. But the team has been fighting. And this is a trap game for Tampa, right here. 8.5, way too much. I think Carolina has a shot to win this game.
Yeah, I mean, Carolina feels like, sometimes, to use like a horse racing analogy, you get like the deep closer and you just think like we just needed this race to be another furlong. And then we get there. It feels like Carolina is sort of looking at the season being like, if we just had like 5 more games to figure this out, we might be a real team. Because Bryce Young has gotten so much better.
Yeah.
Since his benching. I mean, he had a bad game against Dallas, but other than that, I mean, they hang with Kansas City. They lose by 3. They lose by 3 to Tampa, who's a playoff bound team. They lose by 6 to Philly, who's going to go to the playoffs. And then they beat Arizona, who's still, been a pretty frisky team.
Right.
So, Carolina's looked like a team that is starting to find themselves, and they're just kind of running out of runway here.
You have hope. I mean, as a
But
football fan, you want, even if your team is bad, you want hope, right?
100%.
Carolina, you've got some hope. I mean, there's a handful of teams out there where there's no hope and is really desperate. Bears, Titans. I mean, those are top 2. Raiders. I mean, what the hell's the plan? There is no plan. I mean, these are just 3 abysmal football teams. But I think Carolina, they got their 3 wins. But I think there's hope. Jets, toilet. I don't know what the hell they're going to do. Rodgers is gone. Maybe you'll come to. He's talking about going to Tennessee. I'll take him. I'll take Cousins. I'll take anybody. I'll take Nate. Nate, come and play quarterback for us. I'm in. I mean, so we'll see what happens. But I definitely like Carolina plus the 8.5. And of course, my best bet last week was the Cowboys. Everybody laughed at me. That was my best bet. Took the points. They won the whole game. Guess who my best bet is again this week?
Who is
Dallas.
You like Dallas again?
Absolute letdown game. Philadelphia, they're winning all these games. They're winning all these big games. Dallas comes in. What the hell? Who the hell cares? They're at home. I mean, why would Dallas win this game? But football's it's funny, guys. Teams let down. And we see it over and over and over and over. And this is one of those letdown games. Eagles are beating everybody. They're on top of the division. They look unbeatable. This is a very dangerous game for them. And Dallas is winning. I love Dallas coming in here making a game of it.
I mean, I loathe this argument that Mike McCarthy is playing for his job still. I will concede that the Cowboys have been playing better, but I still don't think that anyone is playing better because they think, my God, we just got to keep Mike McCarthy around here. Like, as a locker room, I don't think that that's like the prevailing sentiment is like, we are going to be so disappointed when this like out of touch old guy gets fired.
Oh, that's mean.
I just don't.
Isn't this game they're playing Philadelphia at Lincoln?
Philly.
Yes, Philadelphia.
They're going to get smoked. I don't know what you guys are talking about. They're going to get the breaks beat off of them. I know they're playing better, but the Eagles are not like they are. This is a blowout. I mean, this is just going to be a blowout. I hear you, Dad. There's nobody in that locker room like Nate's saying that's like, by God, we have to keep Mike. We're playing for Mike.
But they are saying we're the Dallas Cowboys and we don't suck. That's what they're saying. This team has got a lot of pride.
That's a great rah speech right before you walk out onto the Lincoln Financial Field with the first place Philadelphia Eagles. All right, guys, listen. Take a look at yourself in the mirror. You're the Dallas Cowboys, and you don't suck. Now go out there and lose by 13. Come on.
We'll see what happens. I'm going to take this 7.5. Nate, can we talk about my favorite game here on the card? Bengals, Broncos.
Bengals, Broncos. Okay, yeah.
Oh,
that's today. That's later today.
Let's go.
Let's do that.
Jack says he's got a snowblower going.
We actually can't hear it.
That's right. You're in the mountains, right? In Colorado.
Yeah. Well, we don't need to get into where I am. I'm not interested in talking about that on the radio. So let's get into Bengals, Broncos here because this game is Bengals all of a sudden in the playoff hunt, 7-8. Broncos 9-6. Bo Nix looks good. I'm so pumped for this game. I think this is going to be an incredible game. I don't know what to do with it, betting wise. So whatever you guys say, I'll probably go with that. But man, oh man, what a fun game this is going to be.
Well, and it's fun because the Bengals. If the Bengals win outright or win out, they win the next 2, and the Broncos lose the next 2. Then the Bengals somehow have saved their season and made the playoffs, which is just insane after kind of where they were. A few weeks ago. John, why is it your favorite?
Well, listen, if every day we had candy and nuts, it would be like Christmas. Okay. This is the bottom line here. This team sucks. They have no defense. They couldn't stop a running. I'm talking about the Bengals. Team couldn't stop a runny nose. right? People have been running through them the entire season. They won a couple games at the end, like big deal. This team sucks. Denver's for real. So I'm getting 3.5 with Denver that actually has a defense that actually can stop a team, right? Bengals can't stop anybody. I mean, it is a matter of you just go down the field and score, and then he's got to put up he's got to put up 6 or 7 touchdowns to compete. Not going to happen against Denver. That's a real defense with a real coach, with a real organization. And the party for the Bengals is over. Can't believe I'm getting 3.5. So now, ever get one of these games you look at and you say, I got to put my glasses on because I should be laying 3.5? Like I'm betting Denver, and who is a legit team against an NFL team with no defense who cannot stop anybody ever, and I'm getting 3.5. And like this is a playoff set game where Denver's got to win to knock them out and to put this team out of their misery. Denver is going to win this whole game. My best bet of the week is Denver.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like Denver too, just because also, we figure this is lined like a pretty close spread, right? 3.5 is pretty much just a 1-possession game. And we know what Cincinnati has done in close games, like up to this point in the season. Like the reason that they are where they are and fighting for their playoff life is because they have been atrocious in 1-score games. I think something like 2-7, something like that. I mean, it's just been horrible for them. So, I'm kind of inclined to take the points here just because I don't really trust Cincy. If the game is close, I think I'd rather be the team getting 3.5 versus laying 3.5.
I mean, come on. This is every time the Chargers get the ball and Cincinnati has to get a stop, they're not going to stop them. They haven't stopped anybody all season. Nobody, not once when it mattered. This is why they're on the outside looking in with one of the best quarterbacks in the history of the game, with that great receivers they got, with a great offense. When you can't play defense, you have no chance to win. And so who did they beat? The Titans? I mean, come on, man, stop. This is going to be Chargers. Denver's going to win this. And I tell you what, I was like down on Sean Payton. I'm like, Sean Payton this, Sean Payton this. I'm tired of him. Right? I take it all back. I was wrong. Now I think he's up there with Harbaugh to me. I mean, he took this team over as a catastrophe 2 years removed from when he took two seasons with him. And now he's got a playoff contender. Unbelievable job that he's did in Denver. The guy can coach. I tell you what, whole segment we could do on coaches matter, right? We kind of don't think about it, but they matter. And you look at Harbaugh, you look at, I'm a McCarthy fan. You look at McCarthy, you look at some of these better coaches. Now, Sean Payton, coaches matter. No doubt about it.
Yeah, they do matter. And you're really seeing it. I mean, Sean Payton, I think, was saddled under the Russell Wilson thing for that first season and didn't really, handle it very well. And now that he's kind of got his guy, it seems like things are a lot better for them, just organizationally stable. You
got to let good coaches draft their quarterback. You can't just force. You can't force a sign and trade. I mean, if it's a coach who, I don't know. I mean, either they like the Tomlin and they say, hey, give me these two guys. But someone like Peyton, like he wants to draft and develop a quarterback, and he got a good one in Bo Nix. They're going to be pretty good moving forward.
He did, and it's never too late to think about your health. Collagen. We got to get a little ad in. This show has been brought to you by Native Path. Go to getnativepath.com/Godzilla and get started on your collagen journey. We've all been using it. Full head of hair up here, little unwashed. Woo! We got it. Growing in the beard a little thicker. Hair, nail support. It's helped John on his weight loss journey, give him a little bit more energy, making him feel a little bit more energetic. Getting that weight off the joints has been great for him as well. So, you can do a lot worse than just mixing a little collagen in your coffee. That's how John likes to do it. Mix it in water, whatever you want to take it. Just throw it in there, fire it down, and just start rebuilding some of these, with these supplements that, your body just stops producing after a while. You can't get enough collagen to be able to support a healthy life. And John's a living testament to the goodness of collagen. So go to getnativepath.com/Godzilla. Get started on your collagen journey for as low as $21 up to 45% off.
Feel better, live better results in 2 weeks. Got to feel good, man. We got a big agenda ahead of us. We got WVU. We got a website we're launching there, WVSportsNation.com. We got going to Washington. We got all this football. We got Super Bowl. We got all this stuff coming up, right? We got to stay healthy. We got to be at the top of our game. That's what collagen helps us do. Get nativepath.com/Godzilla. Do it now. $21. Can't beat it. You can't get a cup of coffee and a donut for $18 now, right? If you get the big coffee and a dozen donuts is $20. So you're better off with collagen. Hey, speaking of Godzilla wins, don't forget everybody, go to GodzillaWins.com. Go to my daily picks every day. Daily picks. Now, football, fade me. Whatever my football bets are, especially NFL, fade me. Just bet the opposite, guaranteed to make money. Hockey, no. Won another 2 games last night. 2 big games. I'm back in hockey. Hit a little bump in the road there for a couple of games, lost a few in a row. This is going to happen, but now I'm back. Had 2 big winners last night. Avs, Devils. I'm going to be back again today. I'm the hockey analyst of Godzilla Wins. Football, not so much. Hockey, I'm the man. Go to my daily picks every day. Get your hockey picks. Have fun, win money. Daily picks.
There's one more game that I've been thinking about today, and it was kind of, the similar type conversation where Jack was like, you have to let a coach get their quarterback. Like, you can't just saddle them with just somebody else's quarterback. And the LA Rams deserve a lot of credit for being able to get McVay his quarterback. They've been great with Matt Stafford. The consistency of that organization and sticking with McVay, even when things sort of look like they might not be going very well. They're poised to make the playoffs again. This will be the second year in a row where they've been 3 games under 500 at one point in the season, and they would make the playoffs if they make it again this year. What he's able to do with this team and to be able to find a winning product has been incredible. However, Arizona, could play spoiler today. I kind of like Arizona to maybe ruin the party a little bit for the Rams and have to make this last week of the season, more meaningful for them when they take on Seattle for the NFC West title game. What is essentially the NFC West title game. I mean, does anybody have any thoughts on Arizona being a spoiler here?
No, I'm absolutely in agreement here. Arizona has been tough all year long. They just haven't come up. They've come up short in a couple key situations, but Kyler's a good quarterback, and LA, while like hands up to LA, right? They've been great all year, or since they kind of were struggling with injuries and stuff like that. It's a big division game. I think Arizona finally has the maturity to play spoiler here, to keep their playoff hopes alive. I'm not sure the Rams are going to be super interested in putting on the gas right now, but they're sitting pretty in first place as well. So, we'll see. Should be a good game, but I'm in agreement with you here. I kind of like Arizona. I think that's a really good play. If you haven't watched them this year, they've been difficult. Like, they've been a really hard team to play. It just hasn't translated into like 11 wins, but it could have. And they may be a team where next year they end up winning 11 or 12 games.
I think they have real pieces there. Yeah. And this is, Arizona's out of the playoff picture now. It'll either be the Rams or Seattle. Seattle needs the Rams to lose basically this week and next week when they play them. And, LA basically clinches the division with a win today. So this is essentially Arizona's kind of Super Bowl in terms of being able to play a meaningful spoiler like role. It kind of starts here. So I think
it's tough to lay over 3 or 4 points with the Rams. It's just a tough bet. I mean, they don't score a lot. I mean, they're a pretty well balanced team. I think they win this game, but 6.5 for me is too many. I mean, I kind of get what Jack is saying. Like, this is kind of their game because they're out of it, so they can knock the Rams into a meaningful game next week. I'm not sure how much motivation that is, but I don't like the 6.5 here. So I have no pick in this game. Ever see one of these games of football? No matter who you bet you're going to lose. That's what I see this game. I bet the Rams I'm going to lose. I bet the Cardinals I'm going to lose. So I'm not going to. I think that this is the toughest game on the card.
I think so too. Is there any other games that we kind of want to just quickly give a pick out on? Does anyone have any more best bets?
Well, I mean, I think
Commanders.
Commander, I mean, look, it's you got to look at this Commander team and ask yourself what the deal is with these guys. I mean, overall, they're not that good, right? I mean, their defense is okay, their offense is okay, but they got this rookie quarterback. I mean, this guy is unbelievable. I mean, what he did last week, and he's done this multiple times, but what he did last week, I mean, you guys, we got a minute here. Just think about what he did. He gets the ball back with 1:22 and one timeout, gets the ball back. And I forget, I bet the other team, and I think I laid 4 and they were up by 5 or something, but I was going to win the bet and they had to get a touchdown. And I told Joe, who was watching the game with me, as soon as Devontae Adams dropped that pass and they had to kick the ball back to get the field goal and kick the ball back to Washington, I said, I'm going to lose this bet. They're going to go right down the field. Kid went right down the field. It was unbelievable for a rookie quarterback with that amount of poise. Just stands in a pocket, finds guys open, runs, does this, gets guys out of bounds. One timeout, 10 seconds to go, guy wide open in the end zone, touchdown, win, game over. I haven't seen a rookie perform this way since Dan Marino back in like 1980 something. This kid is for real. Anytime that Washington is on the field with him, they got a chance to win. This is a very dangerous team.
Yeah, so bet for Washington. I kind of like the Falcons myself, to be honest, just because Penix looked pretty good last week too. But that's it for this week on our show. Thank you all. Best of luck to everyone, and we will see you next week. Happy New Year's.
Happy New